Watch as I make a 100% silk party dress for my toddler and transform the silks into something cute. Hello, today I'm going to share the process for making a 2-year-old little lizard king dress. So I'm going to share some fabric from Riverside Fabrics that I got. They're up in Canada, and this dress is for in the future. My toddler is 16 months old right now, so this party dress will be for when she's 2 or whenever she grows into it, but it's made of silk, and so the silk from Riverside Fabrics turned out to be really pretty. I'm going to show you the style. This is the style of dress I'm going to make. Obviously the party dress will be woven fabrics. I made this in knit, and so it's a little more casual, but it will have this nice ruffle and a mixed color, and then these buttons down the back. So I'm thinking about having the silver be underneath and for the top, because I have more silver than gold, and then the gold will be this fun circle color around, and the buttons will be very pristine and cute. This is just so casual because I just whipped it up and it's a knit. So the woven party dress will be really fun. Here is the silver. It's satin face silk organza from Riverside Fabrics, and then the gold silk kabatoy, which is not much. They're both dead stock, so they're sustainable. I think they might both be from designer brands. Riverside Fabric takes film dead stock and designer brands dead stock, and you can get little bits and pieces from film sets and everything, so that's kind of fun, and from designers. So she's going to have a very fun silk party dress, and I'm excited to take you along to show you the process. So I've always been proud to just cut out my pattern pieces without any weights, and I just always held my hands on it and made it work. But with 100% silk, I realized it's a very slippery fabric and a lot harder to work with and hold down. And so during this process, I realized I needed to press. I needed to use my iron before I sewed. And with this cutting out process, I actually learned how to use baby toys as weights since I didn't have normal weights. So use what you have. So I want to talk a little bit about sewing with a toddler because it is a little challenging, more challenging than sewing with a baby. I had a lot of videos of sewing with my baby, and she'd just lay there, and I could sew for an hour or two, and she'd be totally fine. She's a very chill, easy baby. Now as a toddler, she wants to be with me and doing everything with me, and I could sew during her nap times. I do that sometimes, but usually I'm busy doing other things. I don't really prioritize hobbies at her nap time because she has pretty sporadic naps. So, sorry, she just ruined the book. She likes ripping up books. So that's another thing. She likes getting into stuff, and so trying to find times to be with her. I'm always trying to be with her, and so I want to have her on my lap still when I'm sewing. And she likes to look at the thread and everything. So just a tip for sewing with toddlers is try to include them, because otherwise it won't go so well and they'll get into stuff when you're not looking. Hey guys, so I wanted to say that silk, at least the silk that I'm using, it creases extremely easily. So I decided to press at the center of the cap sleeve before gathering it, probably so you can know where the center is, because you're supposed to gather an inch on each side from the center. But I can just crease this with my hand and it makes a nice crease, so I know where. Okay, so now I have the crease. I'm going to do that little gather stitch along each side. I have my instructions on my phone, so that's why I keep looking at it. So much for the gather. You're supposed to gather this little area here, but silk didn't want to stay. And so if you know a way to pin it to make the gather stay, that'd be great. But I just got one little pucker there. Oh, beautiful. Oh, joy. So this turned out a lot better. So I think the gathers just worked out better, and I was able to hold them in place, and there's a couple puckers there, which they're supposed to be. So. All right guys, so we are done. This is the final look of the shirt part for the Lienz baby. Got the sash done, got the cap sleeves on, which were horrendous. I can't stand putting sleeves on, let's just say that. I do need to do the buttons back here. So we're not doing loops, we're doing buttonholes and buttons. So while I look through my button jar, I'm just going to kind of show you what the Lienz baby pattern actually had you do, and then what I decided to do. The Lienz baby pattern has you do button loops that are in the seam of the top part of the garment, and then they loop over the buttons, and so it creates a nice finish with the placket, but it made a wider back, which I'm sure they allowed for that with their seam allowances and everything, so it probably worked on a normal baby, but my toddler has a thin back, and so we are actually going to put the buttonholes on the actual surface of the garment like a normal like top part would be, with the buttonholes on it, not having the button loops, which gives that extra space. So I'm hoping it's going to cinch it in. And spoiler, it did work, and her back doesn't look like it's too thin and doesn't hold the dress up. So it worked out well. Buttons, but I want to show you the buttons I picked out. So we have a wide selection, which I looked up on the instructions. You want 3, and I'm thinking these 3 because they all kind of match. They're shimmery. They're kind of a silver sheen to them. This one I absolutely love, but there's only one, and it's really big. And then there's some just like Calvin Klein jeans or some white. This is actually really pretty, like goldish. That would work with that gold silk that I'm going to add for the skirt. But it's on a silver, so I'm kind of thinking to go with a more silver white with the silver silk. Thea, don't drop it, please. Oh, is that for me? Thank you. Oh, it's in the mouth. Here. Okay, so I did the buttons at the park, actually.
but it worked out. And then I did my special little buttonholes where they're enclosed, and so you don't actually see the thread. And so now I'm just gonna see if this actually fits. I still have to like snip all the thread so it looks messy, but we'll see how it looks. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. Yeah, I think the sheen worked just great with the silver. And then I still have to press in here, and then it'll be ready.
I'm now having to do a gathering stitch for the main skirt, top skirt, and for each layer of tulle to give it a more full look. When you gather a stitch with all the tulle layers combined, it's going to be a less full skirt. And so they recommend, if you want a fuller skirt, to gather stitch each layer of the tulle separately. And since I only have 2 layers instead of 4 like they recommend, I am definitely going to gather each layer separately to make more of that full skirt. Okay, so your Singer or your sewing machine will probably look a lot different because mine is 1970, so it's kind of old as far as sewing machines go. But I want to show you the tension here. So we have the tension at 4, and usually I have it at 1, and that is just making the gathers without me having to gather them by hand later on. So it's actually helping me out a lot. So just a little tip, I just found it out by myself. I'm not sure if it's probably in the sewing community somewhere, but I'm here, just so you're aware. Okay, I must say, well, the tension works on some fabrics, like this silk organza, it didn't work on it. So you can see the puckers, but it's not like a full gather. And so I started doing it with a 4 tension and realized it wouldn't work. I could go up with my tension and see if that would work. So I decided I'm just going to do the traditional gathering method. I put the tension back to 1, and I did 1/4 of an inch from the seam line, and then I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, and then I will gather the 2 threads together. When I started gathering, I only did this 1 line because I was kind of just doing it as quick as I could, but with the 2 lines it's going to be more even gather, and I want that for the party skirt. I want the beautiful finish with all the gathers in just the right place that I decide to put them.
Go.
So once I gathered each skirt individually, then I had to put them on the main garment individually. So that took quite a bit of time to gather each one and then to put them on. But once that was done, I had to cut all the threads, and so I went outside for that, which you'll see in a minute. I also wanted to talk about sleeping arrangements, you know, with like her nap time. She was sleeping during this time while I was working, and so I didn't want to be too loud, but at the same time I needed to sew. My sewing machine is maybe like 10 feet away, maybe a little more, maybe 12 feet from her crib, but there's walls in place, and so it's going to be less noise, but it's still pretty close to where she's sleeping. So I wanted to make sure that she was well asleep before I started sewing. So the gathering I could do while she's going down to sleep, And then the sewing I could do once she was like asleep for like 20 minutes, so that she was in a deeper sleep than when she was just starting to fall asleep, if that makes sense. So kind of be aware when you're sewing, when your baby's napping, so that you're not like at the end of a nap time and know it's going to wake them up, or at the beginning where it's going to be hard for them to fall asleep. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about cutting the threads off her garment. Some people do it step by step, where they sew something and then they snip the threads right away. I tend to wait until the end of a project and then do it all at once. So you have two options, and you have to cut either time, because otherwise there's threads everywhere.
Okay, so my baby is napping right now and the dress is done. So I'm so excited to try it on her, but she's sleeping and she needs her 2-hour nap still. So I am waiting on that, but then I also have a hair appointment where I'm going to get my long hair chopped off a little bit. So maybe after I come back from that, we'll try on the dress. It'll be a little big on her, but not too big, I'm thinking, and do a little talk through of how it all went. Alright, so my hair cut is the next morning. Little Fia is over there just playing with the newspaper, and so I feel like this is a good time to explain kind of everything that went down with her party dress, and then we'll give her a try on. So let's look at this. So when I originally made the video that had me drawing out the dress, I didn't realize that the tulle goes over the silver part. So it turned out a little more gold than I realized, but I like the look a lot. And because I only used 2 tools instead of 4, it could be even more fluffy. So I could go to Walmart and get another thing, and I could have basted it in and added more, but I decided to just go with what I had, and it worked out fine. So I top stitch everything at the end. I used the same silver thread so it wouldn't show quite so much as when I did the sleeve part, because the sleeves I used a darker thread, which is not as professional. As well, I like, it's okay. I liked, oh, okay. Just 1 minute. Okay. As well, I liked how I did the buttons with the buttons going over, because her back is smaller, and so I wanted to make sure that worked out with her back being thinner than normal kids. But this placket turned out a little weird. You'll see how, okay, how the top stitching, I could only top stitch one part because the other part, it was pulling the gold skirt this way, which made it look wonky. So even now it looks a little wonky, but I'm hoping it will be fine once we try it on her and put the sash over it. We won't have that problem. So everything else I think is fine. I finished the seams. It looks good. So we are now going to try it on her. Okay, so the Lienz Baby tutorial shows you how to do an actual cute bow, but I'm not going to attempt that right now, but it's on a YouTube tutorial. And then let's show the front in here. There you go, good girl. Can you not sit down if you stand? Good job. Okay, so yeah, it's just a little big on her, which is completely normal because she's 17 months now. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have any comments about how I could have done the dress better or what you like about it, please comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.